we're going to discuss section 11.1, and this is all about sequencing. Sequencing is just numbers that are right in a row. And at first what we're going to be talking about is what's called arithmetic sequence. Now, arithmetic sequences are numbers that have a common difference. So in other words, like 2, 5, 8, and if I ask you for the next terms, you should be able to tell me. Because what I've done is I've added 3, I've added 3, I've added 3, so to get to the next term, that would be 11, this would be 14, and this would be 17. So this is what we would call an arithmetic sequence. They have a common difference, okay? Often that difference is called a D. They'll give you sequences that are fractions, sequences that are decimals. You should be able to work through and find the next however many terms they asked you. These individual numbers are called terms. So if I had like this sequence, 91, 83, and 75, you would need to find out what do you add to 91 to get 73, and you realize it's a -8. And then when I add a -8 here, I get that. So I'd have to add a -8 there, which would get me to 67, and I would add a -8 there, which will get me to 59, and so forth, depending on how many terms they ask you to find. Well, the problem is sometimes they'll ask you to find like the 25th term in a sequence. Now you could, let's do this top sequence right here. I could literally put 25 little lines here and go ahead and count and fill them in. But that's not a very practical way to do it if they were to ask you for like the 100th term of the sequence. So let's say I want to find the 25th term of this arithmetic sequence. There is a formula that I'm going to use. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Now, what the n is what term I'm trying to find. In this case, I'm trying to find the 25th term. A sub 1 is the first term in my sequence, and d is my common difference. So to find the 25th term of this sequence, I'm going to go a sub 25 is equal to 2 plus, the n is my 25, remember the term I'm trying to find, times my common difference here is 3. So I would have 2 plus 24 times 3. Now don't forget to do your multiplication first here. So I have 24 times 3 plus 2 is going to tell me that my 25th term of that sequence would be 74. There's not a whole lot to this. Let's do another one like that, and then we're gonna add some that's gonna use this, but we're gonna not as directly use that. So I need to make sure that I put, well, I think I misspelled that, got the TH, arithmetic. Okay, so here's my equation. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so let's say they give me a sequence and they say, let's see, find one where we're supposed to find a later term. Let's say the sequence is this: 6, 13, 20, and 27. And let's say we want to find the, I don't know, 15th term of this sequence. Now you could just make numbers and you could figure out what each term's going to be. So I need to go ahead and find out what my common difference is. And if you look, I add 7 to get from one to the next. So when I do my 15th term, a sub 15 is 6 plus 15 minus 1 times 7. So 6 plus 14 times 7, which is going to give me 98. So I'm going to have 104. So my 15th term in this sequence is 104. Sometimes they don't do it so nicely. Sometimes they leave out numbers in between. Let me make sure this is still running. Okay, let's say I have an arithmetic sequence kind of like this. 18 blank 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 78. And I'm going to fill in all the stuff in the middle. I know what my a sub 1 is, and I know what my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, my a sub 6 term is. So I'm going to solve backwards so that I know what my d is, so I can add all the way through. Again, I'm going to use that equation. So a sub 6 is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. A sub 6 is 78. A sub 1 is 18. I don't know, well, I do know my n is 6, so 6 minus 1, I don't know my d. So I have 18 plus 5d is equal to 78. I'm going to subtract, and that's going to give me a 60. And I got 60 is equal to 5d. I'm going to divide, and I'm going to get 12. So I'm going to add 12 to 18, and I'm going to have 30 there. Then I'm going to have 42. Then I'm going to have 54. And then I'm going to have 66. And then I'm going to have 78. Now there's a logical way to do that too, but that's a way to do it with the equation. Let me do one more here. That's a little bit different, and then that will be it for this section. So let's say I have blank 17 blank blank blank. And I go, that's a bit of a problem because I don't know. I'm going to have one more thing. I have a negative 7. Okay, I don't know my beginning term, but what I can do is I can treat this as if the 17 is my a sub 1. And if you will, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be my a sub 5, and then I can work backwards to get this one. So I have a sub 5 is equal to a sub 1 plus 5 minus 1 times d. My d is my unknown. A sub 5 is negative 5. A sub 1 will be 17 plus 4 times d. So I'm going to subtract 17, so I get a negative 24 here is equal to 4d. When I divide, I get d is equal to negative 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add negative 6 here. So I get 11. Negative 6 here is going to give me 5. Negative 6 here is going to give me negative 1. Negative 6 there is going to give me a negative 7. So I actually am going to add positive 6 here. So when I do that, I get 23, because when I add negative 6, I'm going to get a 17. So just make sure it all makes sense when you finish. All right, the homework that I want you to do on this section is page 652 through 653, 16 through 40, even. Okay?